Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining for the event, Demystifying Liberal Arts with NMIMS. We'll start with the event. I'm sure people would be joining in, in some time. Today, we have Brijesh sir and Chaitanya sir with us. So, just to give you a little more information on both of them, we have with us today Dr. Chaitanya. He's an assistant professor with NMIMS and he specializes in philosophy. He has done his PhD in philosophy from Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai, and we have Dr. Brajesh Chandra Tripathi as well with us. He's assistant professor NMIMS. He specializes in sociology and he has done his PhD in sociology from Urban Studies and Politics, Department of Humanities and Social Sciences from Indian Institute of Technology. So thank you so much, sir, for taking out time and speaking to us today and our students. So I'll give I'll give it to you now. You can take it over and let's start.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for just introducing us to students. So I'm a little slow starter, but let me set a context for our engagement today. So as we are aware that we have to discuss the prospects, possibilities, not in terms of only career, but our overall growth, like academic growth, what uh, what what we look up to, like why liberal arts as one of the possibilities of career, like after your plus two examination, as I'm seeing in chat box. So let me set a brief outline for our conversation for next 20 minutes. So I will be introducing few preliminary idea that why we should consider liberal arts. Then my colleague Dr. Jyoti will take us you on a short journey that why like that how situation or circumstances have changed over a period of time, like let us say in 100 years, that different disciplines or different career choices have been taken up by middle class people, young people across the societies, and that trajectory has propelled us in the present time in last 10, 15 years, that liberal arts emerging as one of very highly sought after career opportunities among young people. So he will talk about. So let me talk about very briefly about liberal arts. So as like I was seeing few questions about the psychology and the related opportunities in psychology, not only in India, but abroad also. To put a context that we have a choice after the like plus two, we can go to let us say only psychology, the graduation, like philosophy or sociology in subject. But why do it along with liberal arts? So one of the things that we are going to talk today, that liberal arts brings you to locate your knowledge, like gaining knowledge in the larger context, connectivity that psychology major psychology students may be engaging in, like mental health question, maybe in relationship to technology, maybe in relationship to economics, causing distress due to COVID time or recession, like a philosophical dimension that also associated that how moral values change like over a period of time, on certain issues. So there would be more eclectic or interconnected approaches to understand a particular discipline. So that's going to be one focus. And secondly, we are also going to talk that why liberal arts are increasingly becoming popular. That's one reason that we are living in very technology-driven time, and we have seen in last 2 years that how technology, Zooms, and online sessions kept our lives going, and there were not major disruption in our work and academic life or your schooling or the students' education. So that liberal arts graduates will also offer that opportunity to make a bridge between technology and other disciplines that are more, I would say, let us say, science oriented, that bringing more human dimension. But all this is happening not at the cost of like your growth or your like a career. It comes into that blending that you would be integral part of a middle class career. So let my colleague Dr. Joshi take you on a very brief journey that how we have reached at a point that we are sitting together and talking about liberal arts possibility of choosing a liberal arts career. Then I will just join once again to just discuss these preliminary ideas again.
Okay, great guys. Good morning. Thank you, Brijesh, and thank you, Sanika, for introducing us. Um, you know, I am going to talk about why sort of liberal arts um, makes much more sense in the world that presently we are part of, compared to any conventional and traditional way of acquiring degrees and making use of them. So that's the primary sort of premise that I'll be going to sort of hover around. And for that, I'll just briefly, sort of discuss how historically um, education has been such where in earlier times we never had something called liberal arts. Why is that? And why is it become now important? And why is it uh, maybe the demand of the times that you do something like liberal arts? So these are the questions that I'll be going to talk about in next few minutes. So I'll begin assuming that some basic kind of sort of basic information you might have had during your school days of history and world history. Assuming that you have a basic information, I'll just briefly talk about how historically education was treated. So if you look at the let's say the what is known as the modern time, which roughly begins from, let's say, 16th 17th 16th century onwards. So that is the time when we kind of at the human civilization level started with uh, with mass education. Now that was required because it was just the beginning of industrialization, and I'm sure you might have heard about it, might have read about it earlier as well. So it is said that it was in the 18th 19th century, again, first industrialization giving rise to the second industrialization. So what was the result was, there was more mechanical methods were used to increase the production. Then you of course know the invention of steam engine, invention of printing press, all that giving rise to people coming out of agrarian sort of economy and living in communities and urban sort of societies. Now this is what sort of required people to learn more, to have more and more, so to say, specialized education, so that the specialized educated people are employed in modern economy to increase the industry production, and that thereby sort of improve the growth of the nation and thereby the growth of the planet as such. So that is how historically education was understood, that it would make people, of course it would make people literate to begin with. Then it would train people to do specialized work, so that those people are employable in specialized industrial scenario. That is how education was seen. So machines were more efficient in doing certain mechanical tasks that earlier humans used to do. So humans were replaced by machines. So that is how the first industrialization, and even the second one, which followed the first one. The second one, as you must already be aware from your history books, somewhere in the post 18th 19th century. Now what is interesting is, in a very recent time, not very recent in the sense, maybe in 20th century, we saw even the emergence of what today also we call the age of automation, electronics and information. And what happens is, again, the work that humans used to do is getting replaced more and more by machines. So human tasks are offloaded to machines, and in a way, in fact, some of the humans have already started losing their jobs because machines can do their job better than what humans can do. Now the now I'll come to the point as to why liberal arts is important. So the main point is this, that you know We were trained to be specialists because that was the demand of the market since the beginning of the modernization. Throughout the first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, and maybe till the beginning of the third industrial revolution, the demand was this, that the industry need specialized people who could work in industry in very niche areas, in very small short areas. Now what happens is, when machines have already started taking over the jobs that humans could do, and if machines are doing them in much more efficient way than humans are doing, then that essentially means that there is no more demand of specialized human beings to do all niche specialized jobs. And that is what is the crisis of the world that we are part of. So in fact, you see that the present day, what people have already started talking about, the fourth industrial revolution. Now fourth industrial revolution, what's happening is the boundary between human and the technology is getting blurred, and which is resulting in um, humans almost becoming irrelevant. And well, let me tell you, that is not something that, of course, I am contemplating and simply throwing the ideas at you. This is what many of the scholars in the contemporary times are talking about. For instance, you might have heard about a very sort of one of the recent, well-read, sort of famous scholar, Yuval Noah Harari, who has written couple of books. So he's the one of the prominent people who already talk about this, that humans almost have become or will become irrelevant because machines are doing their jobs better than humans. Now, if that is the scenario, then the point is this, that in such a scenario, if we are becoming irrelevant, then how do we keep humanness of being human intact? If machines are taking over our jobs, then how do we keep our uniqueness of being human intact? And what is in a way relevance of being humans? So mind you, I'm not saying that we are going to be replaced by robots altogether. That's not the point. The point is this, that we ourselves are being uh, converted to being robots. That is why this is a very famous, again, quote by Harari, where he says that it's almost like we have become hackable animals. For instance, look at the way you use social media, look at the way you use internet. So your online habits are already being recorded, and depending on that, you are being fed with the data. So idea is this, that it's still a far possibility that robots will replace us, but more sort of closer possibility is this, that we ourselves have started becoming robots. So it's like, if I open my maybe Instagram account, and the kind of pages I follow, I start getting more and more similar suggestions, and I get into that loop. So it's like someone else sitting somewhere maybe in Silicon Valley is determining how I am going to behave. So that is what I mean, and that is what Harari means by hackable animals. So we are almost becoming hackable animals. Forget about the fact that we'll be replaced by robots. That's still, someone may say, that's still a far possibility. But hackable animals is very much what's happening with us. That is why you can see people's voting behavior being determined and influenced by big capital giants, like, so Facebook, for instance. You might have heard about Cambridge Analytica and what happened with it during the US election. So again, the point is this, that we have become hackable animals. Now this is, I think, this is the reason why we need something like liberal arts, because the main thrust of liberal arts is this, that it is going to make us more analytical, more critical. It is going to make us more creative, and it is going to make us more um, um, experiential. So what do I mean by that? So for instance, if I have become a hackable animal, then that essentially means that unless and until I start questioning myself, unless and until I start being critical, analytical about my own thinking process, I am never going to come out of that loop which I have already been thrown into by the bioinformatics that is around me. So we believe that a course like liberal arts, which gives you a critical mindset, an analytical mindset. Now, this course might, in the fundamental sense, teach you to question yourself, to teach you to be modest about your own thinking process. How does that happen? For instance, when you come in liberal arts, you will not only be reading, let's say, psychology, you will also be reading philosophy, you will also be reading sociology, you will also be reading maybe the art of making film, you will also be reading economics, history, cycle, and then maybe the disciplines which are not conventional disciplines, such as maybe creative writing. Now, the idea is this, that all these sort of different facets of your personality, if you keep them open, then it is less likely to be the case that your thoughts become hackable. It is less likely to be the case that you become subservient to the people around you, or to this to the society around you, or to the technology around you. So this is the reason why we feel that liberal arts is required more than any other times today. So to just relate it to what I had said earlier, so if you remember a few moments ago, I was saying this, that early industrialization, late industrialization, second industrialization, all that was the time when we were, when the demand was of specialization. Now we believe that the demand is of someone who can innovate himself or herself to be more generalist. Well, mind you, we are not saying this that, well, being generalist should come at the cost of abandoning your specialized knowledge. Well, that's not the point. A generalist approach where you can connect or interconnect different disciplines, innovate your thinking, and find out solutions to the problems at hand. Now, this generalist approach will complement specialized niched understanding of one particular discipline. In fact, that is why if you see that liberal arts is an undergraduate degree, so of course post that undergraduate degree you are supposed to go and do a kind of specialization. So nowhere, so don't understand that kind of we are pitting specialization against general understanding of liberal arts. No, the idea is this, that the more general, wide, and open perspective that liberal arts will provide you at undergraduate level will eventually enrich your understanding of your specialization as well, which you end up doing after your graduation, throughout your post graduation, or maybe even after that. So we believe that liberal arts is important today for this reason, that it creates more and more generalized people who are equally capable of pursuing specialization, but at the same time are equally capable of providing innovative, critical, and analytical interjections at the at solving problems at the hand, regardless of whichever area or domain of life they are part of. That is why many of our students, well, some of our students are doing post graduation, those who are choosing to specialize in specific disciplines. Some of our students are working in industry, some of our students are are starting their own sort of ventures. So there is all that possibility going ahead, and maybe we will talk about that, or maybe Brijesh will also talk about that in the later part of the presentation. So I think that this is how, by and large, I believe how liberal arts can justify its presence in the times that we are part of. Now, I think Brijesh will take over from here and we'll talk about the other stuff.
Thank you, Chandra, for nicely setting the context. It's not that our middle class sensibilities drive us to choose something like we demand or others are doing. but you set a nice context that how like over time things have changed and liberal arts has kind of a response to the needs of our time, that how we need to not cope but also like make a better society in addition to choosing a particular career. So, continuing conversation like Chaitanya has brought us. So, I'm reminded of like I wrote a piece about that why the young people are increasingly inclined or looking forward to liberal arts. So, then because like we need to understand that liberal arts choice for a liberal arts is not kind of a one-time decision. It's a commitment for a career. It's a commitment for like the long-term career. Although liberal arts offer you more possibilities to explore, and in the future, as like rightly pointed out by Chaitanya, that like you can start your own work or take up masters or take up jobs in different streams. But like liberal arts offers us this opportunity, being like coming from middle class families, that how education is increasingly seen as nowadays self-investment, or you are creating capital like for yourself, your benefit, education. But liberal arts offers us, in addition to building your life, building your career, it gives you those sensibilities. Even if you are working in field of technology, like liberal arts graduates nowadays are offered jobs in like technological giants like Google, Facebook, and other organizations who write posts like on behalf of those organizations also, that what Chaitanya said, quoting from that experiential, like it's not only technology but like making it more human, like how those platforms be used like more emotionally relatable. So that's a one point that I would like to highlight, as in with like liberal arts offers not only as a middle class career or a job, but it offers you like an opportunity to associate, build with other people's life. And during COVID times, we have seen that how I'm sure some of us have come across the idea of compassion fatigue. When in first COVID wave, we were helping everyone, checking on everyone, phone calls. After second wave, we got lost, tired, and now nobody is checking. So like people are now into survival mode or just building your life. So, but these are the questions that has come difficult times, but liberal arts as an idea or like kind of a subject always tries to bring, like whether it is maths or numbers or technology or anything, that it always tried to build human face with it, like how it will be like going back to like Chaitanya's idea that hackable animals, that but how you relate or just claim your life, you remain human, you are in control of your life. So liberal arts graduates are in every place, wherever organizations you work with, ranging from marketing to development sector to NGOs, everywhere. Your job is to bring those possibilities to organization, bring people's capabilities. So your product, like if students who do economics or marketing or MBA, their focus could be on products. For liberal arts graduates, product is human being. Like we are engaging with project of human beings. So human beings itself has become a product. Like just as many Chaitanya said, humans are hackable animals. So we try to like the liberal arts people more bringing that the emotionally relatable lives. And as I gave one example, that the word solidarity became very popular across the world, like helping even in strangers in the time. And but why I said this, because like with, I'm sure in like in families or like friend circle we discuss that why not we choose engineering, medicine, law, or business studies, or information communication technology field. So those like could be like financially more stable, lucrative to begin with after your plus two. Like it may give you more guarantee. Instead of those like choices, why we choose liberal arts? So this the like the title of this like session itself, demystifying itself, like is very apt here to talk, because liberal arts is considered by some people that if you take then like your chances of making a middle class career will be lesser. But that's really a myth. That's not the case. Because choosing liberal arts, you like add a kind of like what Chaitanya explained about specialization without abandoning that. You work with technology, you may work with finances, or you work in field of information communication technology. But what liberal arts graduates are bringing additionally to those questions, uh, like understanding human beings' nature or emotions, how they relate with technology, how they relate with finances. Like economics, a student who has done liberal arts, it takes up masters, then he may be an asset for the organization to understand consumer behavior. It's not in understanding in terms of like product satisfaction, but about larger consequences. Like one example I give, like sanitizers. So if a student goes to work in an organization, sanitizers, so sanitizers could not be sold anymore as a kind of like the factor to prevent COVID. It could be a liberal arts graduate can understand it from like as a society changing, like looking at hygiene very differently. It could be becoming, if upper middle class was using sanitizers prior to COVID, there could be larger society. So those liberal art graduates can bring these kind of sensibilities to organizations, how to pitch this awareness in addition to doing business. So that possibility can come. And that's why the liberal art graduates are recruited, hired, preferred, because they make this interface with finances and technology. It's not that like you will lose out on career front. You will, like your journey may be a little slow, the money you make initially is slow, but like then it's a kind of any other regular middle class career that you can look up to. And just moving forward to these ideas, that why liberal arts. Now I'm talking more in terms of like career perspectives in the future. Like as you are seeing on your screen, we have listed two major possibilities. Like after doing a graduation in liberal arts, one is job front, and second is like taking up masters. But you may be wondering, as I have seen one question that we have to take. One of the first question that I will take the context of that question, that if we have to do psychology, then why do it along with liberal arts? Why not go to specialization? Coming back to that question and associating it with what Chaitanya nicely articulated, that it's psychology major, the student coming from liberal arts, like a counselor, like if you take a kind of a degree masters, like apply for doing being counselor or therapist, so that person will have more like wider knowledge and sensibility, that to understand a person in perspective. So you can do in psychology, they also study, but a person's problem could be coming from financial distress, could be coming from social loneliness, could be external factors like COVID, could be because people losing job or market failure. So a person who does specialized masters or further studies to do like academics or like become in field of psychology as a therapist or a counselor, they already the liberal arts enables them to think in very like a larger perspective. So their vision, their like the approach to understand people's problem are in a larger context. And then like the way they engage, the way they offer solutions are also eclectic or in comprehensive way. That they may not be only being counselor. Who knows that they may be writing, penning down like how to deal problem in larger and structural way. That could be one contribution. And I think this is not kind of my individual preference that I am articulating that liberal arts is doing, because we are already seeing consequences that why organizations like are already like preferring this approach. It's like liberal arts like is kind of a glue that connects two worlds. Could be like technology, could be finance with human beings. So it's a kind of the way like Chaitanya was arguing that lives are getting disjointed or disconnected. So like technology is very alienating. Even people are full time on Instagram, still they feel very lonely, like in real life. But this how to bring to words like authenticity in your life. And that's why organizations are also understanding. So it's not that the job that you will take up that could be like in MNCs, GDP growth or technological firms, but liberal arts are going to stay because our lives are not overnight going to be very like jointed. We will not claim. And Chaitanya said that once we have become hackable animals, you need people who can give you power, agency over your like lives. And then those organizations are also understanding that only strong and authentic people could be in long term, would be client or consumer of their products. So that's the idea. So, like before I conclude, one thing that I wanted us to talk on job front, that people who take up jobs after liberal arts, could be in development sector, doing masters in development studies or public policy. That also a possibility. How we see that we should not look for the jobs only in market sector or government sector, but as we have been seeing that now there is a more collaborative approach. There are NGOs, international donor agencies, UN, UNDP. They look for these kind of the graduates who are grounded in social sciences. You are taught research method, collecting data, quantitative numbers. So people who have more comprehensive knowledge, there also you can pitch, you can work with social organizations, NGOs, international one, and that also you can call that market, civil society, NGOs, and government. All of them could be together, like coming together, and you can find, I'm sure that the opportunities to work with corporate social responsibility, a big organization, could be education initiative, health initiative, nutrition initiative. So bigger organizations are also offering. So many like the graduates, they just go for internship, they take a job after. So like the bandwidth of getting job is more wider in comparison to students who could be specializing in business studies. That's another point. So I will conclude my conversation with the point that I understand those kind of vulnerabilities that like being middle class. So like that American one political theorist who has written on education a lot in last decade. So it's a kind of whatever you do, you look forward to returns on it. Like this choosing a career, it's kind of a return on investment what you get. So I would say that like even on that logic, the liberal arts will not fail you. It will not disappoint you. Choosing a liberal arts career or taking a graduation. So as I have already stated, like Chaitanya also spoke about that, like we are living in the times that liberal arts graduates will be in demand, they will be cared, they will be respected, like recruiters will be looking for them. So it's not that you will be making money, making a middle class career, but you will have an opportunity to have a satisfying life by helping people, building people's life, building their capacities. So your job could be like what Chaitanya said, like innovator. So like you are that messenger or a glue person who is a bridge between, could be technology and humans, like with the human touch or with the finances in different fields. So I would summarize the way that like liberal arts is moving forward as a career. It's not that give you kind of a financial stability, a middle class career, but it gives you more job satisfaction also in future, like by helping or being associated with other people's life, building their capabilities.
So thank you so much, Brijesh sir and Chaitanya sir, for taking out time and speaking to us. And it was really very informative and very helpful. I am sure students. It's something which students would definitely like. And uh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sanika.
Thank you.
Most
Thank
welcome.
you for inviting us.
Most welcome. Goodbye, everyone.